neighborhood decides that that's a good place to put everything.
Oh, that's a nice warm feeling.
Yes, or you have
buying the neighborhood trash dump.
Yeah, or somebody vandalized the property and left it open. If it's not boarded up, the cities will fine you for that, and so that stays with the property. Gas meters that are ripped off, that fine stays with the property. So you need to make the phone calls to find out, what is attached to the property. And it's a pretty easy process, but you just have to pick up the phone.
Now, do you have to call or I would think one of the places you would call is the county recorder's office.
Absolutely. You're going to call the recorder's office to find out if there's any additional liens, to make sure that you're purchasing it and all the liens have been wiped off, because you don't want to purchase it and find out there's a first mortgage you just inherited also.
Oh boy. But now, do you need to call like the local utilities and so forth, or
you don't need
handled?
To do anything, but of course
or
you
should
will.
you?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You absolutely want to know as much as you can about this property before you buy it, because that goes into your buying decision. So let's say that you find out that there's only $5,000 worth of back taxes and other fees against it, and you're buying it for $1,500. Your price is still only $6,500, and so that makes it a worthwhile purchase. Now, when we first started, we had to buy blind, which means we took the list or not, and we only had 24 hours to make a purchase. Well, we ended up with a house that had over $50,000 worth of compliance issues.
Holy mackerel.
And the house is worth $15,000.
Oh, that's what you call a white elephant, I guess.
Yeah, we call them junkers.
Okay.
And you know what? There's actually a gentleman who works that city, works in there, and he's able to go and get it reduced down to $2,000 because he posted a bond to fix everything. And so there's ways to work around it, and you still don't get too scared, or you have to learn to not get surprised, because every deal there's a surprise.
So how is this working now? You were saying that, I mean, back at that time, you had 24 hours to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Well, what kind of a time frame do you have? And is this a competitive bidding situation?
It's starting to turn into a competitive situation, because whoever gets there first with their money actually gets the bid. And sometimes people will say, well, I'll bid more, and the sellers are unscrupulous, and they'll sell it for the person that bids more. And that's stupid, because there are so many properties. I mean, we saw over 3,000 properties come across our desk last week. There's no reason to bid higher. I mean, we always try to bid lower. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we need to do, is just keep people educated in the system and how it works, and not get greedy, because there's enough properties for everybody.
Now, do you do some of this research as a service to the people that you're working with, or are they sort of on their own, or how does it work?
We feel that you teach a person how to fish, and they'll eat for a lifetime. So we will teach people how to do the research. We will not do the research on the list, because that's their responsibility, and we don't want the liability of missing something. And so it's important for them to know how to do the research themselves.
But you may be buying a package of 20 properties, and so you really do need to, again, appreciate that there's a lot of work that's involved with this.
There is a lot of work. If you're going to buy a package of 20 properties, you'll be spending 1 to 3 hours at least minimum researching those and making phone calls.
Per property, or?
No, for the whole list, for the 20. And when we first start out, it might take you a whole day, but you learn how to speed it up and how to get through those researches pretty quickly.
So you just sort of, do you send the list to whoever that you're calling? Like if you're checking with the utility, I'm looking at these 20 properties. Is there a problem with one of them? Or?
Here's what's really fun. Most of these counties, the employees have performance that they have to meet. So you're only allowed to ask on 2 properties per phone call.
Okay.
So you find out that you're talking to Joy, and you say, okay, Joy, I'll call you back. You hang up, you call, and you ask about the next 2 properties.
Hi, Joy.
You hang up, and and she gets to log it in for her production, because she has to handle so many phone calls in a certain length of time. You cannot call and ask for all 20 of them. You have to keep calling back in.
Your fingers in good shape for all that dialing.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think people maybe then should be able to appreciate from our conversation. I mean, the opportunity is great. I mean, why don't you talk about a couple of examples of some of these deals? Maybe we should say How about 2 good ones and 2 bad ones?
Okay.
We got about 3 minutes left.
Okay, so an example is the very first one that we received our report on. I call it the burnt marshmallow because when I received the report, they had pictures of the inside and it had been burned. And you could see that the police were, or the firemen were in there, had squirted it all down, and there was paint hanging from the ceiling, and I started to cry. I thought, what have I bought? I cannot believe this. We paid, I think, $2,000 for the property, and the next day we had a bidding war on that property. We sold it for cash for $5,000. So we made over 100% profit on that property that I thought, oh my gosh, what did I do?
You had a different reason to cry. Now you can cry for joy.
That's right, that's right. So, I mean, there's just so many properties. There's one property that we're able to sell to a vet. A Vietnam vet. He was able to get into a property. We sold it to him. We bought it for about $5,000. We sold it to him for about $35,000, and the true market value is about $85,000. And so he's got a good deal there.
Wow.
And so that's some examples.
Now you were talking about this one that you had the $50,000 in liens. What happened with that property?
Yes, so that property we actually sold to a rehabber. And we sold it for what we paid for it. So we didn't make anything on it, but we got wiped clean on that.
He took it subject to the liens.
He did. He took it subject to the liens, and he went in and worked with the county, got the compliance down to $2,000, and he's in the process of rehabbing it. And the after repair value for him is easily going to be 3 times what he paid for it.
Oh, that's great.
So,
a happy ending then.
Yeah, if you're a problem solver, there's profits to be made.
Yeah. But the key is that you happened to find the person in that community that knew how to work these things.
That's correct.
And able to do it. Okay, well, we've got a little less than a minute. Do you have some words of wisdom that, maybe a thought that we haven't discussed yet? Or?
I just think that if you're an experienced investor and you're looking for a way to get into the REO market, this is the way. The profits can be phenomenal. We're seeing over 100% profit on our deals, but it is problem solving every day. I mean, you have to love to problem solve because you're going to get something new that you never experienced, but your past experiences will give you a little bit of something that you can pull from and be creative and move forward. So,
okay. Lori, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you being with us today and sharing some of your experience. And folks, be careful out there, but this could be an exciting area to get involved with. And I hope to see you next time on Financial Insider Weekly.